heat that could be felt even at night. Tombstone, a town where the sound of horseback riders echoed through the streets, and every day was a fight for survival. On its outskirts, a conflict was brewing, one that would soon change the course of the town's history and become one of the most famous showdowns in the Old West. The legendary duel between the Earp brothers and the Clanton gang. Wyatt Earp was more than just a man whose name symbolized law and order. He was ruthless, decisive, and always saw things through to the end. Together with his brothers, Virgil and Morgan, he embodied the spirit of law and order in the dangerous streets of Tombstone. But what makes this story even more intriguing is the fact that on their side was none other than Doc Holliday, a gambler, a card player, and a professional shooter with a dark past, but as relentless and determined as the Earps. Holliday was the kind of man who never backed down, even when his life hung by a thread. For months, the tension in the town had been building. The Clanton gang, involved in cattle rustling and weapons trafficking, grew bolder with each passing day. They were ruthless criminals, and the Earp brothers weren't about to let them take over. Every step they took was calculated, and they began to actively pursue the criminals who were threatening their vision of law and order. Then, in October 1881, the conflict reached its boiling point. The final showdown was set to take place. The infamous confrontation would happen at the OK Corral, an open space where not just outlaws and heroes would clash, but the very idea of justice itself would be put to the test. One day early in the morning, as Tombstone streets were still mostly empty, a strange silence filled the air. The sky was a clear blue, and the heat felt unbearable as always. Within minutes, the sound of horses' hooves pounding the ground echoed. The Earp brothers, Wyatt, Virgil, and Morgan, along with their ally Doc Holliday, met their enemies, the Clanton gang, led by Ike and Billy Clanton. With every passing second, the tension thickened. On both sides of the open area, men stood, their hands on their guns, waiting for something to spark the violence. The Earps stood tall, eyes locked on their enemies, ready for whatever was to come. And then, as though the air itself snapped, the first gunshot rang out. The scene exploded in chaos. Dust, loud gunshots, the whizzing of bullets. Wyatt Earp, a master with pistols, fired first, his bullet hitting its target. Virgil and Morgan fought side by side, their teamwork tight, never giving their enemies an inch. Despite the rapid fire and the relentless violence, they didn't retreat. It was as if they didn't believe in defeat. But amid all the chaos, Doc Holliday remained the calmest. His confidence in battle was almost superhuman. He wasn't there just to survive. He was there to win. His eyes burned with determination, and every shot he took was precise, as always. The confrontation lasted only seconds, but it felt like time stood still. Dust, blood, smoke. Everything mixed into a blur. When the smoke cleared, the Clantons had been defeated, but there were no true victors in this battle. The Earps had won, but at a great cost. They had lost Morgan, who was fatally shot during the duel. The Clanton gang had been wiped out, but the victory came with a heavy price. Days after the shootout at the OK Corral, as the town recovered from the chaos, the residents knew that nothing would ever be the same again. The fear and respect for the Earps only grew, but they didn't seek glory. Their duty had been done, but they could not escape the blood that had been shed that day. And while the OK Corral became synonymous with the victory of law, it also became a symbol of the fact that even the strongest cannot avoid loss. For many years to come, the name of the Earp brothers would be associated with honor and bravery, with those rare moments when justice triumphed in a world where no one knew what would happen the next day and where honor could cost you your life. And while the legend of Doc Holliday, their fearless friend, who despite his dark past remained a symbol of unshakable resolve, will live on in memory. The shootout at OK Corral wasn't just a battle for survival. It was a moment that would enter history as a symbol of the victory of order over chaos. The myths of those who survived that day will continue to live on.